I would say in order to successfully scale a business, you have to put the customer first. I know a lot of people look at ROI, bottom lines, things like that, but really when you are working in a client-centric business, the customer comes first. You have to look at the customer needs and start there, right? Because if you are always satisfying the customer, if the customer is always happy, generally they care less about the price tag, right? So it really it's customer-centric, customer-focused and client-centric. So really what they're trying to do is they're trying to make their back office more efficient. And we have a lot of clients coming to us with that being like, hey, we don't totally understand AI. We're not in that space, but we do know that we have these issues and we think AI can fix it.
Hello and welcome to the Auto Intel podcast, the show where we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the world of engineering and software. Each episode, we sit down with business leaders, innovators, and decision makers to uncover the strategies, insights, and technologies driving growth and transformation in today's digital economy. Our today's guest is Charlie Mitchell, who's the founder and principal engineer of DataTech Consulting and Contracting. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Nishant, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. Charlie, I would like to start with a bit about your journey and what inspired you to start data tech consulting and contracting.
Yeah, so I've been working in the tech space for about 8 or 9 years or so. I did my thesis when I graduated from the University of Toronto on neural nets and how they apply to NBA basketball player performance. And that's how I kind of got my start in artificial intelligence before any of it was really as popular as it was a couple years ago. After I graduated, I worked at a few different startups where I had the opportunity to get a lot of experience just because of how fast startups move and everything. And then as I started moving along in my career, a lot of companies kind of started coming to me with like a lot of asks. And that kind of inspired me to start data tech consulting and contracting in order to be able to service a lot of those requests. So in 2022, I started building out a team and started my company. And then I started taking it from there just because there was so much demand, especially in the AI space, that I needed a team in order to service those.
Right. So how big is your team at the minute?
My team right now is about 15.
Right. That's a good amount of, is mostly engineers or data
It's mostly
scientists?
engineers. I have someone that also helps with marketing and someone who also helps with administrative tasks like billing and things like that, but it's mostly engineers.
Right. And what type of clients do you mostly work with? Are they more in software industry itself, or is it, or different verticals as well?
Yeah, so it's a variety of clients. So there's two types of clients mainly that I think we focus on. One of them is a startup founder that usually needs to build out a product and kind of build a POC in order to get funding. So we really help them build out a lot of applications, and then we kind of help them with support and do all of that kind of stuff once they're trying to raise money. And move along that route. The other type of client is typically someone who is not in the tech space, but wants to bring AI and tech and automation into whatever firm they're working with. So we work with a lot of, blue collar type of industries like plumbers and electricians and people like that to need to automate either their sales processes or need to put AI into their chatbot interfaces on their websites or things like that.
Right. Okay. Very interesting. So, I mean, are there any like kind of projects excite you the most, or like do you do all kind of development from, automating the workflows in the sales process to doing all artificial intelligence models, or what sort of projects is something you are keenly involved
Yeah,
in?
yeah. So we do all kinds of work. We have done things ranging from, simple automations to chatbots and AI, all the way to dealing with, gigabytes and gigabytes of data coming in every minute and being able to process that information. So to give you an example of a couple of the projects we've worked on, obviously, like, we build out chatbots and we do that kind of infrastructure. A lot of that is helpful on the customer service side, right? So we've done a lot of customer service chatbots where we ingest a lot of documents from companies based on their protocol and how they want to deal with customers, and they're able to automate that customer service experience. Another thing that we have worked on that I think was really exciting was we helped a company develop out real-time stock trading platform. And basically what this was doing is that a lot of the stock trading platforms right now summarize data that you see on the screen. What they wanted to do is have a non-summarized chart. And obviously this is a lot of data. So being able to have us set up those Kafka connections with the providers and be able to serve second by second data with a latency of under 500 was something that the industry hadn't seen yet. So that was a very big project that was really, really exciting. But I get really excited about those kind of challenging projects as well as the things in the AI space just because it's moving so quickly.
Yeah, because I looked up your website. You do a variety in data analytics and data engineering side of things a lot as well as some of natural language processing stuff as well. So, do you have any like projects involved in that, or what's the?
Yeah, we do. A lot of The projects we work on are very, very data focused. So typically, when you have any type of AI interface, like, the actual making calls to the model is really simple, right? Like, you're just making an LLM call to OpenAI or Gemini or your favorite LLM provider. But what's really challenging is how do you get this data organized in such a way that you can pass it to the LLM? So what we typically do is a lot of what we set up is data engineering pipelines in order to take whatever data that the client has and get it into a format that makes sense for an LLM. The better you structure your data when you pass it to an LLM, the better your prompt can be coming back and the better your response can be. And so a lot of times clients come to us and say, okay, we have 1,000 documents and we need to ingest those. Obviously, we need to index those and properly format those and tag those with metadata and all those things because you have prompt windows and you have focus from these LLMs that are really, really important. So really a lot of the work, or 80% plus of the work, comes in ingesting that data and making sure it's formatted correctly and all those data pipelines are set up. And 20% is kind of what people say is the fun part, which is the prompt engineering and setting all that part up.
Right. So, I mean, how tricky is to like if the data sources are so much varied, like if the systems are like you've got documents living somewhere, you got Excel files, you got other stuff, you got to collect all that data and put them into a really, extract that, transform it, and load it
Mhm.
into a proper format to go into your, the model, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really tricky sometimes because you have a lot of different data structures, like you mentioned. There are a lot of tools now to kind of make a lot of that similar. So we use AWS Bedrock a lot. Bedrock basically has knowledge bases built into it, and it can process Excel files, PDFs, things like that, and index all of that for you in order for you to be able to interface with it with, chatbots and AI prompts and things like that. But a lot of what comes as the tricky part there is metadata tagging and doing all of that, because if you
Yeah.
have a question, you need to be able to tag it correctly. So a lot of that is being able to go back to the business and say, hey, what type of rules do you look at when you kind of categorize these documents? Like, when you're looking at this as a person, how do you decide what documents are important? Because basically what we do is we look at it as LLMs are going to be no smarter than an actual human, right? So we need to firmly understand what is that human process that we're trying to have the LLM automate before we can actually proceed. And so really that discovery phase with the client in the first week or two to understand their manual process, to understand how they make decisions around what documents are important is really the backbone of how we make decisions.
Right. Very, yeah. That's the key point, right? Like, yeah, people can make calls to these LLMs and then, but if your data is not right at the start, your model is not going to be, giving you the right results, right? Yeah. That's such an
Exactly.
important point. I mean, yeah, going back to the, are there any like specific industries? Like you did mention you work with a lot of different types of, founders or, the startups and businesses, but are there any specific industries do you kind of work with, or is it whoever comes in and you
Yeah,
kind
I
of do the
wouldn't say
work?
there's any type of specific industry. Like, we've worked with people in all kinds of industries. The industries that tend to kind of gravitate towards us are two, right? Like, it's typically the startup founder, which is just a SaaS product that they want to build out, right? So that's typically like, one type of person. The other type of person, which I think is a little bit more interesting, is typically a company that does not currently have any type of automation and is not a tech company at all. Like, think of an electrical company, think of like a plumbing company, think of any company that is kind of providing a service that's not technical
So,
related, but they have a lot of staffing on the back end that needs to that needs help from automation or needs help from AI, just because they have a lot of customer service requests coming in. Or maybe they don't have an understanding of, their marketing side and like their CRM and they want to automate all of that. So really what they're trying to do is they're trying to make their back office more efficient. And we have a lot of clients coming to us with that being like, hey, we don't totally understand AI. We're not in that space, but we do know that we have these issues and we think AI can fix it. So a lot of what we do is in that first discovery phase, just kind of look at overall what are their processes and what points kind of make sense for AI and automation to help elevate their business.
right. So, I mean, how do currently the clients find you? Like, are there any like marketing channels do you use, or how do clients approach you, or is there any where you do some outbound systems to approach to the clients?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a few different systems. We use LinkedIn a lot to reach out to clients. So we have actually a lot of people reaching out to us on LinkedIn, and we also reach out to them. And we use LinkedIn Navigator as kind of like a reach out system in order to find people that we kind of work with. So like we have a marketing guy who's very very good at that. That kind of does like reach out there. But we also have a lot of word of mouth. Obviously, if you do a good job of what you're doing, typically people like refer you to other people. So we've gotten a lot of people that way, and that's kind of how the business started by word of mouth. And so that's really
And now you're just
like core,
growing.
just because conversion wise, you convert a lot more people from word of mouth than any other channel. And then we also have an Upwork presence as well, since like a lot of contracts go on Upwork, so we do a lot of things there as well.
Right. So you've got a contracting side of business as well, where you put up a lot of contractors to different businesses who are looking for a short period of time, some work or
We do some of that. So basically, kind of the value that we provide is that a lot of companies that are not technical don't have the wherewithal to manage a bunch of engineers. So part of my job is coming in and saying, okay, we have these engineers that can be allocated for this project, and the oversight can also be provided by us since they don't have the wherewithal, time, knowledge, etc., in order to oversee all of that. So a lot of what I do with companies is kind of bridge the gap between what is the business problem and understanding and what is the technical solution, since they don't have the actual knowledge to be able to do that.
right. I wanted to ask you about what are some of the challenges you face, like in today's growing economy, like everyone is facing, like the small businesses particularly, like what are the key challenges you face currently to scale your business, or how do you grow it?
Yeah, yeah. So like I think the biggest challenge that I could kind of hit early on was just that you always have to kind of keep selling and keep doing outreach to new clients, right? In this space, like, there's all kinds of external factors that can kind of cause clients to dry up and things like that. And so really figuring out where should my time go and where is my time most valuable was kind of the first thing I learned. Unlike a lot of companies, I kind of started off having a lot of clients just because there was a lot of interest. And so I didn't focus on that sales and marketing aspect probably as much as I should have. And that's also probably because my background is not in that space. So I think keeping in mind that when you are running a company, the primary function is that you need to have marketing and sales always be running and always be reaching out to people is very, very important. And so I had a point in time where, like, a lot of clients dropped off just because, they had projects finish or, like, there was a variety of reasons, right? And so there was a bit of a dry spell there just because of that situation. And I wasn't actively selling while still servicing the existing clients. And so I think the learning or like the lesson I had from that situation is that it's always important for us to keep selling and keep making sure we have new clients coming in because you never know what's going to happen to your existing clients. And that's kind of when we started really focusing on, marketing and advertising and making sure that we have those plans in place and someone dedicated for that part of the business.
Right. So yeah, you constantly keep searching for new clients while you're delivering the ones you already have a
Exactly, and,
pipeline
like, kind
going
of
on, right?
balancing
So just
that has also been a challenge
yeah,
as well, figuring out what is the best use of my time because,
yeah,
like, some of my time needs to be dedicated to existing clients, making sure that those relationships are kept up and things like that, but then also taking in, discovery calls and things like that are also important, so figuring out that balance in my time has really been a big challenge for me.
yeah. Because I wanted to just ask you about that. How difficult is that balance of getting new clients and focusing on the delivery of your current clients? That's a kind of a very tricky balance, right? You have to maintain, like you have to focus on half of the time on acquire new clients while you are working on your current clients as well.
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is trust in the people you hire, right? So as I've moved on, I've gotten better at hiring people that like I think are very good in supporting the business, supporting clients, and things like that. To where I feel like I can be a little bit more hands off with like the existing clients, and a lot of that is just hiring the right people. And as you go through your business process, you'll hire the wrong people, the right people, and you'll kind of get a sense for, the right people that fit your business and culture. And so that's kind of been my way of being able to step away from the implementation with existing clients and really focus on the discovery and outreach of new clients is by hiring the right people that I can trust and are competent in what they do.
I mean, yeah, if you have to pick one bottleneck in your whole, the sales process, what would you pick? Like, what's your most challenging or your pain point, which you would pick is in the whole sales process? Is it acquiring new clients, or it's the delivery, or what? What would you say?
I wouldn't say it's the delivery. I would definitely say it is the acquisition part, but not necessarily in scheduling the first call. It's usually in being able to show that the price you're charging is valuable for their use case. Because, like, a lot of clients come to you and they have no idea of what the price should be to implement a specific feature or, like, a specific solution is. Right. And being able to kind of break that down from an ROI and business perspective in order to make that make sense for them is probably the biggest challenge because you have to rapidly understand their business in order to break it down into an ROI so that they understand, okay, this actually makes sense to do versus not do, because a lot of these people are not technical and you need to break it down into financial terms that they can understand.
Right. So, I mean, how many? of your clients you usually like kind of, yeah, if you're doing some discovery calls, is it difficult to convert them, or is it always easier to just, once you have understood the business and got them on board, like, yeah, what's your percentage of side, like if you are doing a lot of discovery calls with people who are interested in the work they
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
do?
So like I've definitely gotten better over time. I would say if I can get people onto a second and third call, conversion is probably somewhere between 30 and 40%, right? So like, we like really try to get people to schedule a second call. That's really what we try to do, is that if we have a discovery call to understand what you want and send you a proposal, can we get you on that second call? Because we feel very confident that we can convert a lot of people if we get onto that second call, right? Because basically if I have the opportunity to talk with them on the first call and really understand their business, I'm very confident in my ability to kind of pinpoint where the ROI makes sense for them to kind of invest in these solutions that they can provide for them. So I really just need to be able to schedule that second call after I've understood their business to be able to pinpoint exactly what they need.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. So good. So I mean, wanted to ask you about what's your plans to grow the company now, like in the next 6 to 12 months. What's yeah. I didn't ask you about, yeah. How many are you like working with a lot of clients at the minute, or like is it, or you still planning to grow the company or scale it? Is what's your focus around now in the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, yeah. So like we are always planning on building and scaling. Right now, in terms of clients, we have about 20 clients or so right now. And like they're varying in capacity, right? Like, some are on like, retainer service contracts and some are actively developing. Like, every client relationship's a bit different, right? But we are actively trying to grow and scale. Over the next 6 to 12 months, we would like to double that number or do even more. But that obviously requires us to expand the team out and hire new people and do all those things, right? So it is very strategic from my side on not only bringing in the new clients, but also hiring the right one
Hiring
or
new
two
people.
people
Yeah.
that can kind of aid me from an outreach side and a client management side. Because right now I do a lot of that work, a lot of the actual development work, like, is done by the team and everything, but I do a lot of that work. And so if we're gonna double or triple that number even, I need to find people in that space that I can kind of trust to work with. So a lot of the next 6 to 12 months is going to be very, very aggressive outreach, as well as focusing on hiring that one or two people that can help us.
But that's great. I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, that's a really good strategy you have. I mean, yeah, I want to now ask you about, if you want to give one piece of advice to our audience who are looking to scale their business, what should be they be focusing on? Like, what's the mantra you use to scale your business?
Yeah, I would say in order to successfully scale a business, you have to put the customer first. I know a lot of people look at ROI, bottom lines, things like that, but really when you are working in a client-centric business, the customer comes first. You have to look at the customer needs and start there, right? Because if you are always satisfying the customer, if the customer is always happy, generally they care less about the price tag, right? So it really is, it's customer focused and client centric referral business and repeat business and all those things that are really important for like working in this type of field. So I would say I understand that, you're going to look at the numbers and say, okay, I'm not making money on this client right now. Think about the lifetime value of giving a client a very positive experience, and that should be what you focus on.
Right. And yeah, thank you, Charlie. And where would we find, where the audience can find you, the data tech solutions and consulting?
Yeah, so our website is datatech.vip, so you can find us at that website. You can outreach there and schedule a meeting with me if you're interested in talking anytime.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Charlie. Yeah, it was nice talking to you. There's some really good
Absolutely.
insights in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me today.